Welcome Ajahn Aranavihari. Welcome everyone here and in the online audience. Start off by thanking everyone who participated in the Lunar New Year last weekend. It was a fantastic event with lots of people attending, a lot of people, so very grateful. I've just got a few announcements before we start the Dhamma talk. Lunch Dana is back here at the Buddhaloka Centre after a bit of a pause. So every day we're looking for people to come and provide a meal for the monastics who are here with us. So please, you can make your booking to do that online through the BSV website. Very simple system with a calendar. The time for those Monday to Saturdays at 10 a.m, except for Tuesdays, which are at 9:30 a.m. Also, just for the first Saturday of each month when we run the meditation retreat, if you're offering on that day, the lunch dana will be at 11 a.m. instead. Upcoming events, there is a special 2-day retreat coming up in a couple of weeks with Ajahn Vimoka, who taught here, I think 2 weeks ago now. And so he is offering a 2-day meditation retreat on the Friday the 1st of March and Saturday the 2nd of March from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. So if you're available and here in Melbourne, we'd love to see you take part in that. He will also be offering the Sunday Dhamma talk after that. There are no bookings required for the meditation retreat, you can just turn up here. BSV City Zen, the young adults group, having lunch dana and a Dhamma discussion with Ajahn Medito here at the BSV on Saturday the 24th of February next week from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So we encourage young adults within the community to be part of this event. So a quick note about this week's teaching program. Tomorrow night Ajahn Aranavihari will also be offering the guided meditation. Thank you, Ajahn. Tuesday night the lay teacher Sandeep will be doing the guided meditation at 7:30 as well. And a reminder that every evening at 7 p.m, from Monday to Thursday, we are offering the Make Meditation a Healthy Habit program. You can join that on Discord. There's a group that sits for about 20 to 30 minutes with a Q&A at the end. And also we've started the Saturday online Sutta discussion group, which is every fortnight on a Saturday night at 7 p.m, Melbourne time. It's facilitated by a member of the lay community. A member of the monastic community will attend when available. So for the next Sutta discussion, we have selected SN 35127 about Bharavajja. So we encourage everyone to join that regardless of your location in the world. Next week, we have Ajahn Medito offering the Sunday morning Dhamma talk and the guided meditation. Just finally, if anyone is able to offer Ajahn Aranavihari a lift this Tuesday morning, the 20th of February, to drive him back to Newbury Monastery, leaving here at about 8:30 a.m, please speak with Ajahn after the talk today. We'd be very grateful if anyone can help out with that. And also a reminder to please join us for the communal lunch next door at 11 a.m. after the talk. So thank you very much for your attendance, and I'll pass the microphone to Sarvatri for the 3 refuges and 5 precepts.
Mayam Bante, Tisarnena Saha Panchasilani Yachama, Dutiyampi Mayam Bante, Tisarnena Saha Panchasilani Yachama, Tatiyampi Mayam Bante, Tisarnena Saha Panchasilani Yachama.
Please repeat after me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒုတိယံ පි බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami Saranagamanang nittitang පානාතිපාතා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි අදින්නාදානා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි කාමේසු මිච්ඡාචාරා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි මුසාවාදා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි සුරාමේරය මජ්ජපමා දට්ඨානා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි ඉමානි පංචශීලානි සීලේන සුගතින් යන්ති සීලේන භෝග සම්පදා සීලේන නිබ්බුතින් යන්ති තස්මා සීලං විසෝදයේ So then recollection of Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vijjacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manussanang buddho bhagavati swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditthiko akaliko ehi passiko opanayiko paccatang veditabbo vinyuhiti Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho Ujupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho ඥාය පටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ සාමීචි පටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ යදිදං චත්තාරි පුරිස යුගානි අට්ඨ පුරිස පුග්ගලා ඒස භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ ආහුනේයෝ පාහුනේයෝ දක්ඛිනේයෝ අංජලි කරණීයෝ අනුත්තරම් පුඤ්ඤක්කෙත්තං ලෝකස්සාති. Now the Karaniya Metta Sutta chanting. කරණීය මත්ත කුසලේන යන්තං සන්තං පදං අභිසමෙච්ච සක්කෝ උජුච සූජුච සුවචෝ චස්ස මුදු අනතිමානි සන්තුස්ස කෝච සුභරෝච අප්පකිච්චෝච සල්ලහුක වුත්ති සන්තින්ද්‍රියෝච නිපකෝච අප්පගබ්බෝ කුලේසු අනනුගිද්දෝ නචකුද්දං සමාචරේ කිංචියේන විඤ්ඤූ පරේ උපවදෙය්‍යුං සුඛිනෝ ආඛේමිනෝ හොන්තු සබ්බේ සත්තා භවන්තු සුඛිතත්තා යේකේචිපාන භූතත්ති තසාවා තාවරාවා අනවසේසා දීඝාවායේ මහන්තාවා මජ්ජිමාරස්ස කානුකතුලා දිට්ඨාවායේච අද්දිට්ඨා යේච දූරේ වසන්ති අවිදූරේ භූතාවා සම්භවේසීවා සබ්බේ සත්තා භවන්තු සුඛිතත්තා නපරෝ පරං නිකුබ්බේත නාති මඤ්ඤේත කත්ත චිනං කිංචි ව්‍යාරෝසනා පටිග සංඥා ඥාඤ්ඤමඤ්ඤස්ස දුක්ඛ මිච්ඡේය මාතා යතානියම් පුත්තං ආයුසා ඒක පුත්ත මනුරක්කේ ඒවම්පි සබ්බ භූතේසු මාන සම්භාවයේ අපරිමාණං මෙත්තංච සබ්බ ලෝකස්මින් මාන සම්භාවයේ අපරිමාණං උද්දං අදෝච තිරියංච අසම්බාධං අවේරං අසපත්තං තිට්ඨං චරන්නිසින්නෝවා සයානෝවා යාව තස්ස විගත මිද්දෝ ඒතං සතින් අදිත්තේය බ්‍රහ්මමේතං විහාරං ඉදමාහු දිට්ඨිංච අනුපගම්ම සීලවා දස්සනේන සම්පන්නෝ කාමේසු විනය්‍යගේ දං නහි ජාතු ගබ්බසෙය්‍යං පුනරේති. So all of you are welcome to today Dhamma talk. So then today my turn. So today I thought to talk about little bit interesting concept in Buddhism, that is Mara. So sometimes most of you have already heard about this concept, the Mara concept. So why Lord Buddha talk about Mara, and what is the meaning of this Mara concept? So actually this is when you read Sutta Pitaka, the Lord Buddha's teachings, direct teachings. So Lord Buddha sometimes teach people based on this Mara concept, because it is easy for many people to understand. Because the Mara is derived from the Marana. Marana is the death. So death is a inseparable part of all lives, all sentient beings. If the one come to an existence as a human or other living being, the death is a part of that existence. That means the end of the existence demarcated by the death. It is the end of the existence, death. Death is, one things come to be exist, death is the end of that existence. So it is common for all sentient beings. So that's why the Mara is the concept of Mara is always associated with the existence, or the existence is always characterized by or shown with the suffering. If any sort of existence leads to suffering. So according to Buddhism, the Buddha's teachings always based on 4 noble truths. So the first noble truth is noble truth of suffering. So the suffering is a part of all existences. It comes to you sooner or later. It is always associated with the consciousness. So that's why the Mara concept is very important, because then you see the world which leads to death. So all your experiences create the existence. So that means when you are conscious, you have feelings, perceptions, volitions, which leads to create more conscious moments in future. So it is a flow of happening things. It is a natural flow. It is not you are doing anything. So doing is arise when you are conscious. It is a natural flow of happening things. So that's why Lord Buddha explained this Mara concept, because all your conscious moments are related to Mara. That means the creation of Mara. Mara is, so I will first let you know this Mara concept is actually a personification of the death process. It is a presentation, a method of presenting to people. So then you can understand we are always facing to death. Mara is always associated with this conscious process. So the later Buddhism actually describe in many different other ways. Also Buddha also in some instances this Mara concept derived to different categories. The important thing is all these things come from the same root. This we can reduce to the same root, because later these classifications are come under this based on the same root. So the same basic concepts. That means if you tell how Lord Buddha explained Mara. So the Mara is the Skanda. So these other categories come under Skanda. Skanda is the 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates means forms, feelings, perceptions, volitions, and consciousnesses. So all based on these 5 aggregates. So Lord Buddha say basically these 5 aggregates are Mara. If there is the 5 aggregate come to exist, that means the death is come to exist. So the death is a product of these 5 aggregates, or the end of these 5 aggregates, or not end, actually these 5 aggregates, the cause of generating these 5 aggregates is Mara. So these 5, when these 5 aggregates is there, the Mara is there. These are called Mara. So the death. So it is important to understand this is basic Buddhism. If you take this the 5 aggregates as Mara, you turn away from these 5 aggregates. You let go, let them fade away and disappear. So this approach create that revulsion or turn away from these 5 aggregates, and develop your mind to turn away from the 5 aggregates and develop your mind to the stillness. This passion towards these things, and inspire your mind to extinguish from these 5 aggregates. So that's why it is important to understand these kind of presentations of Buddha. So to focus your attention based on that aspect, death aspect. So then when you engage with this consciousness, these 5 aggregates are in function, or this collecting and accumulating. That's why I call those things as aggregates. The forms, feelings, perceptions, volitions. When contact happens, the feelings, perceptions arise. So then the craving, wanting arise. Then you register these things in this conscious process and use in the later time. It is the driving force of this conscious process. Driving force is always accumulation and generations and holding on. And these things give the future intentions, future choices, future conscious moment. You are craved to be conscious because you value the consciousness. It is a part of this conscious process. That's why Lord Buddha say this process start from the delusion, because it is the underlying, the force is delusion. When delusion goes to the when you see things as they truly are, then the delusion disappear. Then the craving for all these things disappear. Then all this registering process or the attachments go to the end. So then it will go to the extinguishment, to the consciousness. This is consciousness go to the extinguishment, and all the products of consciousness go to the extinguishment, because non-delusion, no value. You see, when you develop your mind to the higher states, or the states, you can directly see how things arise and how things ceases. So then you come to a state of non-delusion. That means you know why these things arise, and how the suffering arise, and how these things go to the cessation. What are the causes and conditions behind this flow of happening things? So you have to develop your mind to those states to see directly. Then you are no more deluded. Then the no more deluded means you are no more craved to any of these things. this. That is basically you don't crave to having a consciousness. When you conscious, all the other things come behind these things. These feelings, perceptions, volitions. So that's why it is important to see this, when this flow of happening things is going on, that means the conscious process is happening. So the death is always associated with this series of conscious process, the series of conscious moments. Because death is always belongs to the existence. Death is a part of existence. Death is a part of the life. So that means the Mara concept is always associated with this conscious process. If you see this process, all these forms, feelings, perceptions, volitions as Mara, then your mind naturally turn away from these things. So this is one way, one approach Lord Buddha inspired people to use to turn away from these 5 aggregates and let go all these things, and let go ultimately the consciousness and go to the stillness. Stillness means the stillness also have the deeper stages and ultimately end up with the Sanya Vedita Nirodha. That means the feelings, cessation of feelings and perceptions also, the final stages. That means you experience the cessation of consciousness. You can go develop your mind up to that stage. So then you can compare the lower stages. And then you can inspire. That means then you can end the delusion. Until that stage, you have to develop your mind, turn away from things. First, for a human, the 5 sense world is the important thing for them. So they are because when you have a human body, this Ayya Nostang body is in function. So the consciousnesses related to Ayya Nostang body is in action. So there's feelings, perceptions, volitions arise, and the craving, wanting, and attaching things, registering things, always happening. When eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, consciousness is working. It is a part of this life. So then, if you want to extinguish all suffering, then you have to extinguish all this conscious process. Just you have to turn away from this process and develop your mind not to indulge with this 5 sense world, and turn away from it and go develop your mind to the mind world that is not the 5 sense world. So that is called jhana states. There is a different state of mind. So once you develop to those states, then you can directly experience how we are abandoning this 5 sense world and how it extinguish. And later, mind come back to this 5 sense world. Then you see why mind come back to this 5 sense world. Then this is the place you can see why, how this craving works within us, how these attachments works with the conscious process, how these things become causes and conditions. So then you are inspired to get rid of these things, because you see how suffering arises and how suffering ceases when you are associating with this 5 sense world. 5 sense consciousnesses, 5 sense forms, feelings, perceptions and volitions. How these things register and make as heaps, make these things become aggregates. How these aggregates works within this conscious process. So I will read this sutta, how Lord Buddha tell these things to people. So directly introduce, this is the Mara. How you take this, how you should use this concept, Mara, to turn away from all these 5 aggregates and turn away from this conscious process and develop your mind to the higher states which you totally abandon the 5 sense world. So then you can directly experience the different state of mind and how to extinguish 5 sense world, all these 5 sense world consciousnesses. So that is interesting. I will read this one first, then you can ask questions. This is Sangyutta Nikaya, Linked Discourses 23.1. If you read this sutta in Sutta Central or something, so the SN 23.1. If we tell according to this Tipitaka naming, so this Samyukta Nikaya, Kandavagga Samyutta, Radha Samyutta, Patama Mara Vagga. Linked Discourses 23.1 about Mara. This is called Mara Sutta or about Mara. The first sutta. At Savatthi. Then Venerable Radha went up to the Buddha, bowed, sat down to one side and said to him, Sir, they speak of this thing called Mara. How is Mara defined? So this is a very direct question, so you can understand how Buddha answered to this question. Then Buddha answered, when there is form, rather there is Mara, or the murderer, or the murdered. The Bhikkhu Bodhis, this is Ajahn Sujato's translation. So the Bhikkhu Bodhis translate in this way. When there is form, rather there is Mara, or the killer, or the one who is killed. Because if there is something to kill, so when there is a killer exists, though there is something to be killed. The one who is killed. So you should see, then Buddha say, so you should see form as Mara, the murderer, the murdered, the deceased, the boil, the dart, the misery, the miserable. Those who sees it like this, see rightly. So that is the way to see things correctly. That is the right way of seeing. So that is right view. It is a part of right view. So in the same way, Lord Buddha say, when there is feeling, there is Mara, or the murderer, or the murdered. So you should see feeling as Mara, the murderer, the murdered, the deceased, the boil, the dart, the misery, the miserable. Those who see it like this, see rightly. When there is perception, there is Mara, or the murderer, or the murdered. So you should see perception as Mara, the murderer, the murdered, the deceased, the boiled, the dart, the misery, the miserable. Those who see it like this see rightly. When there is choices, so choices is the Ajahn Sujato's translations in some Bhikkhu Bodhi translate as volitional formations. So it is volition or choices or will or whatever. When the choices are, when there are choices, there are Mara, or the murderer, or the murdered. So you should see choices as Mara, the murderer, the murdered, the deceased, the boiled, the dart, the misery, the miserable. Those who see it like this, see rightly. When there is consciousness. There is Mara, or maybe Mara, or the murderer, or the murdered. So you should see consciousness as Mara, the murderer, the murdered, the deceased, the boil, the dart, the misery, the miserable. Those who see it like this see rightly. But so Lord Buddha said the define Mara in this way. So then the Venerable Radha start asking more questions. Yeah. Okay. So then the Venerable Radha start asking questions, more questions. But sir, what's the purpose of seeing rightly? So Lord Buddha say, if you see Mara in this way, that is the way how you should see rightly. So Lord Buddha introduced this Mara concept in this way, the seeing things correctly, rightly. So that's why the Venerable Radha is asking, but sir, what is the purpose of seeing rightly? Then Lord Buddha say, disillusionment is the purpose of seeing rightly. So then you are got disillusioned. But what is the purpose of disillusionment? Dispassion is the purpose of disillusionment. So that means that is the purpose, because then when you are not disillusioned, so your passion get diminished or you are dispassioned. But what is the purpose of dispassion? Freedom is the purpose of dispassion. That is the liberation of your mind, the freedom of your mind. Dispassion, so there is two liberations Lord Buddha teach in Buddhism. Liberation by wisdom and liberation of mind. So first you achieve the liberation of mind. Your mind is liberated from the five sense world, is the first thing you experience. Later you develop the wisdom and liberate your mind by wisdom. So then Lord Buddha say, the Venerable Radha asked, but what is the purpose of dispassion? Freedom is the purpose of dispassion, Lord Buddha answered. So then Venerable Radha asked again, but what is the purpose of freedom? Extinguishment is the purpose of freedom. So Lord Buddha say, the freedom, to achieving freedom leads to the full extinguishment. That means once you achieve the freedom, the liberation of mind, when you achieve the liberation of mind, then you can develop the mind to the right understanding. Because when you liberate your mind from the five sense world, then you can see things as they really are. So then you are no more deluded. It leads to the full extinguishment. So that's why Lord Buddha say, what is the purpose of freedom? Extinguishment is the purpose of freedom. It leads to the extinguishment. So then Venerable Radha go further and say, but sir, what is the purpose of extinguishment? So then Lord Buddha answer, for extinguishment is the culmination, destination, and end of the spiritual life. When you achieve the full extinguishment, then you achieve the full extinguishment of all suffering. So no more once understand the full extinguishment, means no more future existences and no more suffering. That is the end of the spiritual life. So the purpose of spiritual life is to ending suffering, according to Buddha's teachings. So even the other, the ascetics and Brahmins also teach to end of suffering. They also inspire people to achieve the end of suffering. All these religions are based on the suffering and how to end suffering. Suffering, because the suffering is a part of this life. It comes to people sooner or later, or if you see carefully, you always associate with this suffering. Your mind, body associate with this suffering, but you don't see, because the way of looking at your experiences is different depending on your beliefs and your inspirations. Sometimes people take suffering as happiness because the way you take things. But when things are changing to the other side, you fall into suffering. Then you experience suffering. You don't see. Suffering is always associated with this conscious process. The way you take things makes you happy. But things change to the other way, so you fall into suffering. So you come to the unhappy states of mind. So that's why Lord Buddha say, if you see this the conscious process in the right way, so you see the whole process is suffering. All aggregates are suffering. All consciousnesses are suffering. So then you turn away from these things and you develop your mind to leads to the cessation of these things. All consciousnesses, cessation of consciousness. Then your mind incline to the cessation of all the products of consciousness, all consciousness. You lead to turn away from this process and leads to the cessation of consciousness. So that's why Lord Buddha inspired to do it. Then Lord Buddha introduced the path which leads to the cessation of all these consciousnesses and the products of all consciousness. So ultimately the feelings and perceptions, the cessation of feelings and perceptions also you can achieve when you develop your mind to those states. Then you can directly experience those states of mind, and then you are no more deluded. You know what you experience when you have these things, and once you bring your mind to the cessation, and how you extinguish all sorts of suffering. So if you have any questions now, you can ask. So there is another sutta I can read. This one also a short sutta. So how the Lord Buddha defined this satta. The satta is the sentient beings. How the sentient beings is defined. All the sentient beings are defined based on the 5 aggregates. If there is no 5 aggregates, there is no sentient beings. Sentient beings are defined based on 5 aggregates. So if you come to an existence, whatsoever existence, suffering is always associated with these existences. Suffering is always associated with this consciousness. If you are conscious, you have feelings, perceptions, volitions. You have choices. But all these things are impermanent. All these feelings, perceptions, volitions are impermanent. And whatever thing you are interested or you have the wanting, craving, is all these things are impermanent, subject to change and go to cessation. So then you get unhappy. The suffering arises. Suffering is a part of this conscious process. Why? Impermanence. Impermanence is also always associated with this conscious process. Regarding the forms, feelings, perceptions, volitions, all these things are impermanent. All the sight, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, thoughts are impermanent. Your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind is impermanent, subject to change. This changing is a natural process. It is a part of the nature. So, therefore, suffering is a noble truth. So that's why Lord Buddha introduced as a noble truth. The proximate cause of suffering is the craving which arises when contact objects. When the craving arises, so then it registered in your mind. So it is a part of the craving arise means the suffering is coming sooner or later because you want things. Once you're conscious, you choose things, you value things. The craving is associated with this process. So then the suffering is always associated with this conscious process. So that's why Lord Buddha inspired people to turn away from this conscious process. First, Lord Buddha inspired people to develop the path and develop the states of mind which fully turn away from this five sense world. So once you develop those states of mind, then you clearly understand, yes, we can turn off this consciousness. The five classes of consciousness, sight, sound, smells, taste, touches and thoughts, you can cut off. The eye, ear, nose, tongue, body consciousness, you can turn off. When you turn off eye, ear, nose, tongue, body consciousness, so then this sight, sound, smells, taste, touches and thoughts don't come in. So then all the forms, feelings, perceptions, volitions related to this area, this sight, sound, smell, taste, touches and thoughts are not arise there. So they go to full cessation, extinguishment. These are temporary at the beginning, but later you can develop your mind to the high states. And when the delusion related to these states of experiences are diminished, that means you are come to no more crave to those experiences, means you are fully turned away from these things and you are much happy without having all these things. You are no more going to crave these things. So this sutta, I will read this one also. Then you can ask questions. This is the next sutta. The previous sutta. This one come after that sutta. So this is a linked discourses 23.2. The Satta Sutta, the sentient beings. At Savatthi, seated to one side, Venerable Radha said to the Buddha, "Sir, they speak of this thing called sentient being. How is a sentient being defined? Rather, when you are strongly cling to desire, greed, relishing, and craving for form, then a being is spoken of. When you strongly cling to desire, greed, relishing, and craving for feeling, then a being is spoken of. The being is, this is the sentient being come to exist. Therefore, one is called a being. So that is how the Bhikkhu Bodhi translates. It's the same meaning. When you strongly cling to desire, greed, relishing, and craving for perception, then a being is spoken of. When you strongly cling to desire, greed, relishing, and craving for choices, then a being is spoken of. When you strongly cling to desire, greed, relishing, and craving for consciousness, then a being is spoken of. So, this is the way how Lord Buddha defined a sentient being. How it come to spoken of, to think or see things as they are. So, because this the forms, feelings, perceptions, volitions are they crave to these things and attach to these things and holding on to these things. So Lord Buddha give a simile in this sutta to people to understand, or to rather to understand, the Venerable rather to understand. Suppose some boys or girls were playing with sand castles. As long as they are not rid of greed, desire, fondness, thirst, passion, and craving for these sand castles, they cherish them, fancy them, treasure them, and treat them as their own. So like the small children are playing with sand castles, we are playing with 5 aggregates. We enjoy these things. So, but when they are rid of greed, desire, fondness, thirst, passion, craving for those sand castles, they scatter, destroy, demolish them with their hands and feet, making them unplayable. So when you see there is no meaning of these things, to enjoy these 5 aggregates, so you demolish it, destroy it, they send them to destruction and fade away and disappear. So when you see these things have no meaning. So in the same way, the children is destroy their sand castles when they don't intend to enjoy with those things. In the same way, you should scatter, destroy, and demolish form, making it unplayable, and you should practice for the ending of craving. In the same way, you should scatter, destroy, and demolish feeling, making it unplayable, and you should practice for the ending of craving. You should scatter, destroy, and demolish perception. In the same way, you should scatter, destroy, and demolish choices. You should scatter, destroy, and demolish consciousness, making it unplayable. And you should practice for the ending of craving. For the ending of craving is extinguishment. That is the sutta. So ending of craving is in extinguishment. That is what Lord Buddha said to Radha. So now you can understand it is how Lord Buddha teach this Dhamma, how Lord Buddha inspire people to turn away from this 5 sense world, turn away from all feelings, forms, feelings, perceptions, and volitions, and how to develop the mind to turn away from these things and achieve the higher states of mind to directly experience the cessation, ending of these consciousnesses, and ending of all suffering, even temporarily at the beginning. Later you are no more deluded because you see how this craving and wanting creates suffering again and again. When you come back to this 5 sense world and start enjoying this, all the forms, feelings, perceptions, volitions, and consciousnesses related to this 5 sense world, how generate suffering. So even the Buddha achieved those higher states and understand the realities, and he achieved the end of craving to all these 5 sense world objects and all forms, feelings, perceptions, and volitions. Still, he has the compassion to all living beings. That's why he came back to this 5 sense world and taught this Dhamma to humans and devas and other the sentient beings who can understand this Dhamma. But when the comeback to this 5 sense world is the comeback to the existence, a kind of existence, this human existence. So still vulnerable for suffering. That's why he suffered until come to the Parinibbana. He had to suffer because when live in this body, suffering is always associated with this conscious process. It is a part of life. But Buddha inspired even the Arahants to come to this five sense world and live in this five sense world, because then they have the opportunity to teach, the people have that opportunity to associate with them and learn these truths and learn Dhamma and learn how we should practice and achieve these higher states of mind and get the state of non-delusion or state of extinguishment, how to achieve those states, how to achieve the higher states of wisdom. So then when the people associate with the people who develop their mind, so they get inspired, they get encouraged to develop their minds also and achieve the final extinguishment. But when the Arahants are living in this world, they have the developed right view. So they see all these five aggregates, arising five aggregates and ceasing five aggregates as arising suffering and ceasing suffering. That's why when you are reading what Arahants told when people ask questions, so they say, we are experiencing suffering arise and suffering pass away. They see these five aggregates as suffering, as Mara. It is a part of life. So if you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you, Ajahn Aranavihari, for very provoking talk. Let's alternate conversation. Are there any questions from the room? Dr. Jaya?
Thank you, Bhante. As I understand, the first discourse, Buddha is emphasizing the first noble truth, dukkha. So he first explains that so-called the personality is five aggregates of arising. Then he uses every possible word to describe this as dukkha, says murderer, murdered, boil, this and that. Okay, that's bad words, bad thing. Then he says, according to Sutta, you can see these five aggregates by developing a mind into dhyanic states, dhyana. So go to the dhyanic state, develop the mind to dhyanic states. You can separate these five aggregates and your consciousness and body. Then you can see all these things as five aggregates and not yourself. Then it says that this is a temporary realization, and later the wisdom develops, and this insight is become permanent. That's what the sutta is all about, isn't it? So this is Buddha describes various ways of extinguishing suffering. So this particular sutta is contemplating deeply into dukkha, and then let go, isn't it? But Buddha says that there are other ways as well, like contemplating on anicca or anatta.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of a hard, isn't it? You have to really get to dhyanic states to understand this. But you can go towards wisdom without really going to higher levels of dhyanic states, isn't it? That's my question to you.
Yeah, actually, the important thing is direct experience, the state of extinguishment. Because otherwise people just listen to Dhamma and they were inspired to cut off and let go things and liberate their mind. But if they don't experience a liberation and the happiness which arises with the liberation, if they don't experience, they actually don't know how to liberate mind. They were inspired, but if they don't practice the right thing and achieve those states of liberation, they don't know exactly what is liberation is. So that's why Lord Buddha inspired people to, that's why Lord Buddha described in the fourth noble truth, the path to the liberation. That means cessation. So you can directly experience cessation of the five sense world when you develop your mind to the jhana states. So that's why then you directly experience the cessation of five senses, five sense consciousnesses, and all forms, feelings, perceptions, and volitions and consciousnesses related to the five sense world go to the cessation when you develop your mind to the jhana states. Only the mind consciousness is there. So the mind is not adverting the five senses or the five sense consciousnesses. So it is a different state of mind. When you achieve those states and come back to the five sense world, you can reflect on those states and clearly understand, clearly see there is a cessation of consciousness. This consciousness arises based on causes and conditions. When the causes and conditions are going to cease, when the causes and conditions are ceasing, the product of that causes and conditions are also go to cessation. These things can directly experience when attaining jhanas. So that's why attaining jhana is important. So that's why it is a part of Noble Eightfold Path. So then you directly experience, and then you see why mind come back to this five sense world. Because the underlying tendencies which are based on craving to the five sense world enjoyment, five sense world experiences. These things are the underlying tendencies. That means the upadana. There is the tanha upadana based. That means the attachments or the aggregates are there. So the cutoff to these craving to those aggregates is the important thing. So no need. Once you going up and down in these two states, they develop the dispassion and turn away from these things, and they actually see the reality. What you experience after come back to five sense world, and they can judge. That is adina aswada nissarana. That means the goods and bads you can see, and you know how to extinguish. So then when you weigh in that way, you never come back to, you no more crave to come back to the five sense world, because there is no point of coming back to five sense world.
Bhante, so you get to dhyanic state that you experience this bliss of dhyana.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who practice this type of meditation, not necessarily Buddhist, yogis and all that, they get attached to that, isn't it?
Yes.
So this is a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a problem for them. Because these things Lord Buddha clearly explained in suttas. Because they don't have the right view. They don't do vipassana after that. That means they don't see those states of mind as impermanent, not self, and leads to suffering. Because those states of minds also leads to suffering. Once you attach to those things, then you go in samsara. So that's why Lord Buddha say, attaching or the craving to aggregates or attaching to those aggregates leads to suffering. That's why those things become the aggregates. Otherwise, you can't say those things as aggregates. These things naturally become aggregates once you enjoy these things and crave to those things. Because you are not practicing cutting off and letting go. That is, you don't see these things as suffering. Even though you attain jhanas, the experience of jhana also looks as you should have to look as a suffering. Once you develop your mind to the full cessation, and when come back to the jhana states again, from the full cessation, you can reflect in the right way. Those things also as suffering. Because when comparing to the full cessation, it is suffering. Because until you attach to those states, it leads to suffering. Because it leads to the future existences, and that is the ground to ripen the previous karma. The karma come and ripen when you get fed up with the jhanic states of existences. Then they get fed up. Then you want to go to a different level. So then your past memories come and inspire you to go and do a good service to the humankind or the other lower states of living beings. So then the mind goes to the different states of existences. That is what Lord Buddha explained in suttas.
Thank you.
But lastly, the real benefit for dhyana is for the liberated ones, isn't it?
Real
First,
bliss. Direct experience. Then you directly experience the reality. Liberation. You can achieve the liberation. Because these consciousnesses arise only until there is causes and conditions. When the causes and conditions go to cessation, these things, the consciousness go to the five sense world consciousnesses go to cessation. So then they experience the direct cessation. Then they no need to believe anyone. So they know this is the truth. This is a reality. Cessation is a reality. Then it is. That's why after the first sermon of Buddha, Venerable Kondanja is a person who could attain jhanas. That's why he understood that yankinchi samudaya dhamman sabbanta nirodha dhammanti. That means the samudaya dhamma is your consciousness, and all the products of consciousness go to cessation. He could understand that one because he is a person who had that jhanic experiences. Because only they have to reflect on these things. What has happened? Oh yeah, this is what he says is true. He directly understood. So they automatically come to the path. Yes, there is a way of ceasing.
Thank you, Bhante. There is a question online from Luke, and he asked about you focusing on one side of Mara. And what about Devaputra Mara, the actual being who existed in the heavenly realms, and the Buddha also refers to him. So is that different?
No, this is a good question actually. Lord Buddha in Buddhism actually later classify the Maras. So this is I describe the Skanda Mara. Skanda Mara is the Skanda. This is the aggregates. This is the root Mara. This is the first thing. All these others are come as the subsets of this Skanda Mara. Next thing is Kilesa Mara. Kilesa is also Skanda. The Kilesa Mara. Then Abhisankara Mara. Abhisankara Mara also Skanda. These are all covered by this first thing, the root. Skanda Mara, Kilesa Mara, Abhisankara Mara, then Machu Mara, and Devaputta Mara. So Devaputta Mara is that. All these are Skanda. Devaputta is the external Skanda. So that means the external forces can affect to your conscious system. Then you face suffering. Then you face all the problems. All based on these five khandas, internal or external. Devaputta Mara is external five khandas. Someone can exert the force to your life. So these days you can see a very strong example. What is happening in the Gaza? Can they control? No, they are very powerful people. Is controlling them and affecting them. So they don't have much thing to do. In the same way, in your day-to-day life, sometimes you have these kind of forces. Because when you attach to your skanda, that means your forms, feelings, perceptions, volitions, you are crave to those things. So that's why you have to do a job. You have to maintain your status. The status is in this life. If you let go your life and you are ready to die, no need to go to job, no need to earn money, no need to eat. Can you do that? No. So you have to develop your mind to those states. So that's why when people develop the mind to those states and cut off craving to all existences, so they are ready to go to death. So that's why Arahants, sometimes the Buddha invite Arahants to live in this world. Otherwise, they go to full cessation and go to full existence, extinguishment. So that they don't crave to come back, they don't want to come back to their five sense world life or any other life. So they go to full cessation and go to parinibbana. That is the full cessation. They die. They go to death. That's why I say, after Buddha attaining Buddhahood, so Mara come and invite. Now this is time. Okay, now you finish your work. Now you can go. So if he went to death, he couldn't teach to the other people Buddhism. That's why Mara want Mara's ambition, because then other people's go this perpetual wandering, this samsara. No one is giving them inspiration to end samsara. End samsara is going against Mara. That is stop death. That is the meaning. Mara is the death.
Is there another question from the room? We do have some others from online. The next question is about the sorry, let me rephrase this. I think the 5 khandhas can be perceived as things, but I also heard that they can be actions. So are these 5 khandhas also actions, or are they things?
No, these 5 khandhas are a part of mentality. These are the mentality, means when the mind exists, the consciousness, mind consciousness arises, or the consciousness arises regarding the 5 sense world, or the mind world, or the 5 faculties. When the consciousness arises, these are the products of consciousness. Forms, feelings, perceptions, volitions, and consciousnesses. So this form is a external form and internal form. Internal form means how we take the form and register in your mind. So it is not. We can't say, because we can't say it is what they ask, the question.
So let me repeat. The 5 khandhas,
yes,
can be perceived as things.
Things, that is a thing. Thing means, it is a part of mentality and materiality both. But the 5 khandhas are upadana khandha. That means you are registering within the conscious process. So then these are mentality. It is a part of the material also. These forms also register in the system. Upadana khandha is you are holding on. That means what you mentally take as form, whatever thing. That means the sounds, even the sounds. Sight, sounds, taste, smells, taste, touches, all form. So what you register in your mind that is the most important thing. Upadana khandha is not the external world. It is internal. So you have to understand. So it is a part of the mental process. When I nostang body contact objects, it automatically value and register in your mind. Sometimes the same object you see after some time, and you see a different facet of the same object, and you have a different value, and you have the different feelings and perceptions regarding the same object. So that's why what you take as form is not a fixed thing. It is changing all the time, even though the object is not changing. So that's why you have to understand the impermanence related to this conscious process. It is highly uncertain, highly unreliable.
Any other questions from the room? This one.
Thank you. I have a question. I have an uncle who is extremely greedy, and this is the kind of greed just not one time. It's been festering for years and decades. So my question is, how do you help an individual who has so far fallen back on one of his desires or any of the 5 perceptions where they think that's the reality and they can't escape from that? So how do you help someone?
Yeah, the thing come to my mind. If you can show that your uncle to how this unhappiness, anger, hatred arise based on their strong craving, his strong craving. If you can show in some instances, sometimes you may be able to inspire him to turn away from this wanting craving, strong wanting craving. Because sometimes, because people's mind are these are hardwired, that means they see the world in the same way all the time. So that's why they were trained to do like that. So for showing something different is sometimes a little bit difficult. Someone should come to him to what the person he should believe or accept. Or sometimes a person, if you can arouse his wisdom by showing how suffering is always associated with your wanting and craving and holding on to things. So it is something maybe related to his personal life. So, for example, if he strongly craved to his car or the condition of his car, you can inspire him to see how these things are unreliable, uncertain, how things change, how your perceptions of your mind change regarding the car. Because someone come and say, oh, now the cars have this feature, that feature, or this. Sometimes if he is an old elderly person, he don't care about these things. Oh, this is good. This is my best car. They don't want to look at new technology and all these things. That depends on people. That's why very difficult. You have to study his the craving and what he want and what he relish. So then you can see the impermanence regarding some objects and how these things create his unhappiness in his mind. So you have to study and do it. Because some of these things are very difficult for people to... If people develop their mind to see things in a deep way, that means how things arise and how things is, how these causes and conditions work in our life, and if they are focused on the unhappiness and happiness, how this unhappiness arises. So then that kind of person can tell them regarding this uncertainty, impermanence associated with these all forms, feelings, perceptions. We can tell people. But some people don't have interest to see like that. They think I have enough, I have the good stuff. They think all these things are permanent. So that depends on people's life status and life standards. That depends on their life.
Thank you, Ajahn. Just carrying on from his question, if they can't see it, the view can change, do we let the karma take its course? Is that how it works?
Yeah. Even the Buddha's time, Buddha couldn't inspire most of the people. So they come and listen to Buddha, and they argue with Buddha and go. They didn't accept Buddha. Yeah, in this world, that's the thing. That is a part of this world, So that depends on, that's why Lord Buddha talk about this Shana Sampatti. It is a one moment come you to lend your ears and listen to other people. Then you listen and then you carefully consider what other people say. But most of the people don't want to consider what other people say. I am well enough. This is that is a part of this world. Even the Buddha's time, same. So is there any more questions?
There is one maybe you might want to address.
I don't know. That depends
quickly, perhaps, mindful of the time.
Yeah.
The question is whether, about sentient beings. If one has aversion, hatred, and revulsion, is that also how to define a sentient being? With aversion, hatred, and revulsion, is that also how to define a sentient being?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All the feelings, perceptions, volitions are define a sentient being. Yeah. Demolish all these things, let go and cut off and release from all these things is the cessation or the come to the extinguishment. Yes. Yeah. Okay, now we are going to stop, no? Okay. Yeah, we will pay respect to Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha and finish. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantam Abhivade Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namassami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namah